Juggalos in recovery. Juggalos in recovery. Juggalos in recovery.
So this week we are doing cotton candy, and the whole idea behind that was one-sided relationships. So relationships are an essential part of the human experience. They provide us with emotional support, love, compassion. However, not all relationships are equal, and some may be fully one-sided. A one-sided relationship is where one person is putting in all the fucking effort while the other person takes and does not reciprocate, doesn't do shit for you. This can lead to frustration, resentment, or even the end of that relationship. So, in this, we're going to explore the steps that can be taken to fix a one sided relationship. And this can be applied platonically or in a romantic relationship or even in business relationships. The first step in fixing a one sided relationship, though, is to acknowledge that there's a problem. It's important to be honest with yourself and whatever your partner is about what your feeling is. Like, how are you feeling in that moment? Avoid being passive aggressive or ignoring the issue altogether. Instead, have an open and honest conversation about what your concerns are. Start by sharing what your feelings are. Avoid blaming or accusing the person or entity you're talking about. Use I statements instead of you statements to avoid coming across confrontational. So, for example, I feel like I'm the only one putting in effort in this station. A relationship is better than you never do anything for this relationship. And this can go into all kinds of different avenues. If you think about this in the way of a friendship, most people have come into a friendship where they're fair weather friends, people that only come around when it's convenient for them or when they need something from you. When you start to realize that that's becoming a pattern where these people are only reaching out to you when they need it or when they want to, make sure you start using those I statements and have a real discussion about what the fuck is actually going on in that situation. So the next step is to also just listen to your entity's perspective. This may They may not be aware that they are not contributing as much as they should be. Open Be open to their point of view. Try to understand their feelings, try to understand things from their perspective. Avoid interrupting or dismissing what they are concerned about. Listen to them without judgment and try to empathize for their situation. This will help you to find common ground and work towards a solution that can work for everybody involved. This is a type of a situation where, you are already coming into that conversation with some kind of preconceived notion of what you want the outcome to be. But this needs to be an actual conversation. There should be no end in sight. You should just be talking for the sake of talking. Try to find out what's going on and what this situation really is. Now, once you've gotten to the point where you both have shared your feelings, your perspectives, your bullshit, it's time to come up with a plan. Work together to find a solution that will balance effort or contributions in a way that works for whatever the dynamic is in that relationship. It may be helpful to make a list of things that each of you can do to improve that specific situation. Be specific about what it is that you expect from each other. You can't just say, I want you to be nicer to me or I want more attention from you. I need you to be really explicit about what things you do not want as well. It's not polite when you tell me to shut up, or I want you to call me this specific name instead of whatever other nicknames that you have. It's important to talk about what you expect and agree to when you want to see this implemented. Because you have to assess when this plan is working or if it's time to have another conversation about why it's not. It's important to also remember that fixing a one sided relationship takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of fucking effort. It takes a lot of fucking communication skills that you may or may not be equipped for yet, but you have to start somewhere. It's not a quick fix. And, you both have to be committed to actually making it work. It's essential to be patient. Patience is one of those things that not everybody has the ability to have in great abundance, but everybody has the ability to wait for at least a little bit. Celebrate some of the small shit that actually ends up helping in some of it. Because, not everything's going to be an instantaneous win. So when you make that first small step, that's great. Encourage them to keep going because a lot of the times without encouragement, people tend to backslide. So, don't expect anybody to be perfect in that moment. So another thing about this is cotton candy don't get wet until it's in your mouth. So
Oh yeah.
intimacy is another essential component of a healthy sexual relationship. But when it comes to one sided relationships, it's often challenging. In a one sided relationship, one partner may feel like they're giving more than they're receiving in terms of emotional closeness, connection, sexual, whatever. And then, I ate so much cotton that my tongue came out of her butt. Sometimes you got to really put yourself all in. You got to put all of your effort in towards making that person happy because if they're not happy, they're not motivated to make you happy. And that's the reality of what is a duality inside of a relationship. You've got to make each other happy. And sometimes you got to motivate somebody to make you happy because they don't realize what they're doing isn't working for you. But this can lead to a sense of isolation and loneliness if you're not feeling like your partner is giving you what you need. As the partner who is putting in the effort, it may feel like their needs for intimacy are going unmet. But on the other hand, the partner who is less interested in the relationship may feel overwhelmed or pressured by their partner's expectations. So when you're in a sexual or romantic relationship, make sure you try to set like the pace for what you expect out of your relationship. Have that discussion early on. Like, these are the things I like in bed. These are the things I like in the car. This is what I want to do in the shower. Sometimes this is okay at Denny's. Ultimately, without a balance, though, intimacy and effort, it doesn't really matter if you don't have that balance. Sometimes that shit's just going to end up slopping over to the side. But fixing a one sided relationship requires mad effort, mad communication, mad understanding, and a lot of fucking compromise. It's essential to acknowledge the problem, listen to each other's perspectives, put your tongue where you don't want it to go, and sometimes that shit just works. And with that, I'm gonna open it up to the room.
Why at fucking Denny's? First off.
They got mad sausage.
And second off, yeah, I mean, fuck. I have been the one-sided person in the relationship and I have felt the one-sidedness in a relationship. So like um being like an addict and alcoholic, we tend to take from relationships, right? And then in sobriety, you start noticing like what you're willing to put into these relationships to keep having these good, healthy relationships that you start having. When you're not out there ripping and running and having all those, what you're saying, the fair weathered friends, and definitely is I think a life experience, just a learning experience of learning how to communicate with somebody. Because I mean, I've been on and off and now married to the same woman for like going on 15 years, and is definitely we both were the one-sided person in the relationship at one point or another, and it took a lot of communication and saying uncomfortable shit that we didn't want to say, and learning how to express our feelings without hurting the other person to get it to a very healthy, functional relationship the way it's been for the past few years, you know. And that was by no easy effort at all. And you know, a lot of relationships you might try to do that in and see that it's just not what it is, you know, or not for you, you know. And that's the hard part, is to find those people that you can, whether it's the job, the friendships, the relationships, that you can actually like relate to and work through whatever, you know, and not not have the strings attached to it, you know, where you could take it for what it is and just go with the flow of the relationship, and know like nothing's that personal, you know. And I've had a problem where I have certain friends that I put on a pedestal, not noticing like people are humans too, you know, like this person is just as human as me, and how am I supposed to expect them to read my mind with how I'm feeling? Or, you know, maybe they didn't think they were doing anything and it upset me. How am I supposed to, you know, how are they ever going to know unless I speak my part, you know? Because I was always the one to just cut you off, not say a word to you, and walk away and do the passive aggressive stuff or whatever. And but if that person's worth having in my life, is kind of worth making the amends or dealing with the situation and moving forward, and making the relationship better, you know. But also in recovery, like, I see a lot of negative bullshit and dumb shit around too. And the ones that uh I feel like I put in all the effort and they do nothing, like those are the ones I'm gonna cut out of my life. Because like, you know, those are the ones like, oh, it's cool when you're here, but when you're not, like, whatever. And I could be the same way with people, but like, if you're not on my same type of frequency, I don't even want to invest the energy, you know what I mean? Like, that's just, it's hard for me, especially, I mean, you know how busy my life is, you know. But like, building those healthy relationships, and putting your, not your all, but the best parts of you into them to keep them growing and flourishing, moving, is
Mhm.
it's work. It's work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I would say the way my relationship started with my now wife 15 years ago is nothing to what it is today. And there's been so many differences in the way we've grown over 15 years and changed, and the things we're into and the things we do, that it wasn't always easy. You know what I mean? And even some of my friends I've known for 15, 20 years, that, you know, still being friends for that long with all the growth and change that happens in life, um, doesn't always make it the easiest to keep those healthy relationships.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that perspective. It's accurate to what we said. Josie, what do you feel about this?
I don't like this topic. I would just say only because I would say some of my one-sided relationships have ended up in freaking restraining order nonsense, and me having to go to the homies for help with them, and then now the person not wanting to actually fess up to their own fuck ups in life, and now having a warrant for their arrest, and I have to deal with the bullshit and consequences of trying to make the list, trying to fix all the shit, and it basically going down the hole and exploding and being basically bullshit nonsense shenanigans of me playing let's run around in circles and look like a chicken with our head cut off.
Yeah, I feel that. I know. I know that's a cow you're picking its nose, Stacy. Are you at Denny's by chance? Okay.
Oh, I
No, we
mean,
were.
on what Josie was saying, though, when you're putting in that much shit and you're getting nothing but bullshit from it, that's when you just dead that. That's not a
Yeah.
relationship you need or want. You gotta like realize
I
when you
Exactly.
should
Why do you
walk
think it
the
is
fuck
dead?
away.
And I don't give a fuck.
that is literally the whole point about a one-sided relationship. When you've put in all of this effort and you see no change, there's got to be a point when you feel like you have to leave. Because at some point, there's just no point in continuing to put in effort without seeing a return. It's just not worth it at a point. Stacy, do you have any experience with one-sided relationships you can share? Yeah. Stacy's just waiting for her steak and not talking shit. Mr. Concrete, how'd you feel about that one?
If you are at Denny's, you should lick your pennies. Because you already look like you're talking to yourself, talking to your phone. Oh, she's gone. God. Should have shown my face again. I was trying to finish it first, but yeah. I've been in no-sided relationships where neither of us were doing anything. It's a tough topic to me. I've really like I had to express. Pretty proud of myself. Like when my son's mom told me what she was doing, I expressed how I felt. I didn't hold it in like I normally would do and just be like passive aggressive about it. I actually haven't talked to her in a few days. I'm not in a relationship. Well, we kind of are stuck in one because we have a kid together. So regardless, it's some kind of relationship of sorts. Like when women tell me they just want to be friends or they don't want a relationship right now and they just want to be friends, and I'm just like, that's a relationship too.
Yeah. There's expectations in all sides of relationships. And if you don't establish them when you're establishing a relationship, you can expect diminishing returns. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recordings and the live so we can talk about dumb shit.